Scene 4. Time, same as the previous scene. Place, a conference room in the Pentagon. On stage are 3 persons, 2 men and a woman. All are in military uniforms and all have the rank of general. Their names are General Wilbur Lamont, General Abdul al-Rahim, and General Samantha Strong Jones. They are professors at the United States Military Peace College.
I've been reviewing a report from one of our operatives at Redbourne State Institution. It's quite interesting.
What's it say?
It doesn't say anything. It's a report.
I'm just using a figure of speech.
You see how communications get jumbled?
It happens all the time. Too many figures of speech.
Excuse, sir, but I speak clearly and plainly.
Please don't take offense. We have work to do.
Okay, I won't.
I said nothing to give offense.
Now he's offended.
Now both of you are offended?
I refuse to discuss anything until he apologizes.
I will not. In fact, now I feel even more offended.
Well, that goes double for me.
Gentlemen, if you two continue on like this, then I will be offended.
Well, I can't help the way I feel. As a senior military officer in charge of a $27 billion department, I can't allow anyone to upstage me.
You're pulling rank? Well, you can play the same game. Let me remind you that my department gets more funding than yours.
And let me remind you both that I represent the President of the United States.
Who called this meeting anyway?
It's a good question. I really don't know.
At the Peace Through War College, we heard rumors about some new breakthrough in biomathematical logic, a new way of configuring numbers that expands our understanding of the universe and time.
Well, that's exactly what I was reading.
So it was you who called this meeting?
No.
Then who did?
Before I can talk about anything, we need to get to the bottom of this.
We're here, why not just have the meeting?
Because unauthorized meetings are not allowed.
Isn't this meeting authorized?
I don't know. And frankly, this worries me. Are we being manipulated by some outside force?
General, is this your doing? Are you trying to steal information from us?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I think you do. The fact that you do now proves that you're trying to hide something.
That is absurd. I've been in the Army for 30 years and fought my way to one of the highest administrative positions in the War College.
That was our politics. Look at you. You couldn't find your way out of a paper bag.
Yes, I could. Give me a paper bag and I'll prove it.
How dumb is that?
Who are you calling dumb?
No one. I was referring to the situation and not to anyone in particular.
We all got here through politics.
Speak for yourself. I climbed the promotion ladder all the way by pulling straight A's in my classes and speaking highly of all the professors, especially those who took a special interest in me.
My commanders took a special interest in me too.
That's because of where you're from.
So now you're going to use that against me?
Facts are facts. If you were from Hoboken, you would never have made it past captain.
That is a lie. I gained every promotion through merit and hard work.
And that your father was the Emir of the Central Islamic Kingdom with close ties to the U.S. oil and gas industry.
We know all about that at the White House.
You see, it's okay with the boss.
Which boss are you referring to?
I only have one boss, the president.
Of course you do.
Well, I've heard differently. Isn't it true that you're in line to become king?
Is that true?
I have renounced all claims to the throne.
Prove it.
Gentlemen, we're here to discuss other matters.
Even though we don't know who called the meeting?
As special envoy from the White House, I'll get to the bottom of that question later. Now, General, what is in that report that caught your attention?
Well, it's like this. According to my operative inside the biomedical department, the department discovered a new theorem that proves conclusively that 1 plus 1 equals 3.
And?
That's it.
You called this meeting to tell me that? Everyone knows that.
They do?
Absolutely. It's been known for at least 1,000 years.
But isn't 1 plus 1 2?
Not necessarily. Permit me to explain. Consider a triangle. When the square of the hypotenuse exceeds the tangent of the linear coefficient, well, that creates a distortion in the base of the logarithmic factor to the power of 9. To make allowances for that deviation, we then need to factor in the degree of the arc that produces a parabolic equation that supersubstantiates the integrity of the numerical values found in the number 1. Now, please understand that when two number 1s are combined, they form a mathematical body unique to the natural world. This takes us to the biological factor. About 1,000 years ago, the famous mathematician Shah Ramid bin Yusuf bin Abkar illustrated this phenomenon in his now iconic formulation that he later published in his now famous work, The Secret World of Numbers and Their True Meaning. It's an 18-volume work that successfully reviews every principle of Western scientific and cultural thought, including the entire work of Isaac Newton, who, as Abkar proved, got it all wrong. Today, his work, Power of Logical Light, is buried at a secret location in the middle of the Iranian desert.
Why there?
1783, the same year the U.S. officially won its independence from Great Britain, or so we've been told. The British discovered the Abkar writings and immediately had it banned. They also made some minor adjustments to Abkar's original equation that, in my humble opinion...
You're humble?
Excuse me, please don't interrupt. As I was saying, the team of British mathematicians, led by the famous Professor Lord Wilmot, 15th Duke of Berkshire, reconfigured certain numbers in Abkar's equation. Wilmot committed this act of cultural vandalism in a deceitful attempt to get Abkar's findings to confirm the validity of Britain's most famous intellectual fraud, Isaac Newton. Instead, it produced a new set of variables that yielded yet another set of results that rendered the original equation virtually useless for anyone. Unwilling to admit their error and desperate to conceal this crime, Wilmot ordered the original Abkar work to be suppressed and buried in a special vault located in the middle of the Pan-Iranian desert, where it lies to this day. Its exact location has been lost.
So what you're saying is that the proposition that 1 plus 1 equals 3, in fact, is true?
Yes, I am. Abkar proved it, and the West refuses to believe it.
We proved it too.
Obviously, you were not listening to me. I just told you that the theorem was discovered and proved in Persia almost 1,000 years ago.
Well, I listened to every word you said and frankly was not impressed. While it may be true that this Abkar fellow developed an interesting theorem that allegedly disproved what seemed to be an incontrovertible fact, namely that 1 plus 1 equals 2, the fact is that everything we said was pseudo-intellectual bunk. The fact is that Abkar was onto nothing. According to what you said, the coefficient of the hypotenuse as it relates to the right angle is a determining factor that affects the relationship between the numbers that result therefrom. Well, if this is the case, then the numbers will produce square roots that, when factored in with existing stated variables, will produce a new set of coefficients that will result in a product that contradicts the original hypothesis. According to Newton's law of reciprocal numbers, such I find is a physical impossibility. Thus, everything that I can accomplish was nothing but rubbish.
How dare you say that? Abkar was correct. If you weren't so biased against Iranians, you would admit it.
Don't call me biased.
Hey, he said it, not me.
Because it's the truth.
Just like all the Abkar garbage is the truth.
General, I found your exposition on the Abkar work most interesting, especially as it relates to those factors that create a new understanding of the meaning of the sum of 1. It bears an uncanny similarity to other secret research at the Institute for the Advancement of Proto-Neurological Science in Kensington, Alaska, located just south of the Arctic Circle.
Why was I not informed? I have the highest security clearance.
So do I. I wasn't informed either.
Well, I can understand the government not informing Abdul, but why did they leave me out of the loop?
I can't discuss that here. It's classified information.
And I have no access. Me, the officer who has been entrusted with the command of some of this nation's most sensitive national security research projects?
The president felt that you were already involved in too many projects. He did not want to burden you further.
Can you tell us more about the current work being done in Kensington, Alaska?
Yes. The president has authorized me to bring you into the loop, provided that you promise to protect the secrecy of what you are about to be told. Do you promise?
I promise.
I promise to.
Duly noted. Okay, now both of you gentlemen are aware of the intense debate that is going on in the highest academic circles over the nature of the number or quantity we call the zero.
Yes, I've gone to a couple of conferences where the subject came up for discussion.
I attended the same conferences. I heard nothing about the subject that was especially interesting. They talked about the zero. So what?
At Kensington, the United States Secret Pseudoscience Council brought together a team of proto-neurological scientists and philosophers from all over the world to determine the feasibility of using the zero as a force of energy. They based their work, which cost the taxpayers over $58 billion, on a mathematical theory first propounded by the late Professor Lester J. McNally of the University of Lower Manitoba in Canada. McNally's theory, known as McNally's theory of inverse-reverse induction, is based on a series of experiments McNally conducted on the nature and property of the zero.
A zero is a zero.
McNally believed that too. But in his experiments, he found that when he combined the zero with another quantity, it produced a product that was more than zero. What an incredible discovery! Out of nothing could be produced something. The military applications are virtually endless.
Please further expand on this so-called theory.
Of course. It's like this. When isolated, a zero is a zero. That is, of course, a tautology. Something is something and not something else. Standing alone, a zero is nothing. It's vacuous. It denotes emptiness, a vacuum, a lack of matter, a blank. However, through a series of rigorous experiments, each involving a double-blind super-reticular study, Professor McNally was able to harness the inner antimolecular structure that makes up the zero. But to do this, first he had to prove that the zero was in fact not a zero. It was a daunting task. Heretofore, it was presumed that a zero was nothing. However, by applying the theory of the antimatter inverse-reverse proto-pseudo-psychological continuum, which asserts that there is no such thing as absolute nothingness, McNally succeeded in discovering and isolating the super-electronic, super-subatomic substructure of the zero.
I don't quite follow.
Okay. Let me give you a simple analogy. Do you know the phrase, doing nothing, right?
Yes.
Okay. Good. Doing nothing sounds pretty straightforward. Doing nothing means just that, doing nothing. However, by doing nothing, are we not in fact doing something? That by doing nothing, we are in fact doing something which is doing nothing. The same applies to the zero. Its apparent nothingness is something. Nothing is something. Isn't it beautiful? So simple, so self-evident. It is the something of nothingness that makes the zero so valuable. Gone are the days when a number multiplied by 0 equals 0. Now the formula will yield untold power. It is just a matter of developing the technology to enable us to tap the unlimited source of energy stored up in the zero super subatomic proto super substructure.
I can imagine the day when all our weapons will be powered by nothing.
Oh, now you get it. This is exactly what's being worked on right now. Oh, isn't it exciting?
The possibilities are endless. Unlimited energy, no more need for war.
I wouldn't go that far.
Oh, you may be right.
No way, we will always need the military.
I'm in the military too, but unlike you, I'm willing to put the needs of my country ahead of my own petty personal needs.
Oh, that's easy for you to say. Your father is a king. I need my job to survive.
Nobody said anything about losing jobs.
And that's only inevitable. When researchers finally succeed in combining the hydrogen findings with the McNally theorem, we will possess the capability to produce a zero-powered bomb that will make the hydrogen bomb look like a firecracker. The military, as we know it, will become obsolete.
That's good.
No, that's bad. We will need the military to keep the economy going.
Oh, we don't.
I know it. You want us to be defenseless, don't you? Admit it.
Don't be absurd.
Don't call me absurd.
Gentlemen, stop this bickering. This is not the time or place to discuss matters of policy.
I disagree. This is exactly the time and place to discuss matters of policy.
Let me remind you that we are not elected officials.
Meantime, I still have no idea who called this meeting or why we're here.
We're here to discuss some really important research.
I know that, but for what purpose?
That's the president's call.
Does he know about this potential new weapon system?
The president knows everything.
Everything?
Well, not literally everything.
Does he actually know the nature of this research? Well, he's not exactly the professorial type.
And what is the professor type?
Someone who thinks he's an intellectual snob.
You're a professor, so that must make you a snob too.
Well, not exactly. I'm a military officer first, and then I'm a professor.
So what? You're still a professor.
As you are as well. In fact, as the three of us are. So much group learning, and yet here we are, grabbing away like crazy birds who drive people crazy with their incessant chirping. Oh, I hate that sound. It's the worst sound in the world. Every time I hear it, I want to kill somebody.
I hate grinding and buzzing sounds. They penetrate into the depth of my brain. I completely go to pieces whenever I hear it. Just thinking about it makes me want to vomit or punch a hole through a wall.
Haven't you ever heard of earplugs?
I tried it. It won't work. I tried also relaxation therapy, cognitive therapy, insight-oriented therapy, eating chocolate cake, drinking gallons of vodka, reciting Shakespeare at the top of my lungs, and running a 50,000-meter marathon. None of it works. In fact, it made things worse.
Why don't you try putting your head underwater for 5 or 10 minutes or even longer?
No, I abhor water. I drink it only because I must, and bathe in it as frequently as possible. But I may give your suggestion a try.
I did try it.
Did it work?
Yes, it may be unconscious, but the cure is only temporary. The effect wears off once you are revived. Sometimes I wonder if it would help if I wasn't revived.
That could help too. Maybe we should ask Congress to appropriate a couple of $1 billion for research on noise abatement.
Why only a couple billion? Why not 5 or 10 billion?
I agree with that. No need to shortchange ourselves right after all, the taxpayers expect a lot from us.
I'll bring it up with the president.
That would be greatly appreciated. And while you're at it, please don't forget to remind him of his promise to nominate me chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Wait a minute. He promised to nominate me.
Well, what the president, why would he want to nominate someone named Abdul? How far would that nomination get in the Senate?
A lot further than yours, buddy.
Don't you buddy me, buddy. Remember, I'm the one who introduced you to your wife.
Just happens to be your sister? Why did I ever listen to you in the first place?
What's wrong with my sister?
She has you as a
Come
brother.
on now. Let's not bring personal issues into this discussion.
It's not personal. It's just that I don't like anybody speaking badly about my sister.
Listen, buddy, you keep on talking this way and you can forget about being invited for Thanksgiving dinner.
You wouldn't dare!
Listen, as far as I'm concerned, you are nothing but a fool and a charlatan.
All this abuse and all I've done for you, it's not fair. If it weren't for me, they would never have let me in the country.
You were well paid for your service.
You call paying me $50 for getting a pack of baseball cards pay?
That time, $50 was a lot of money, and it wasn't my fault that you traded your baseball cards for that phony Babe Ruth bat that even a bookworm could see was fake.
Meanwhile, the president has asked me to ask the both of you to help him provide an answer to a question. It was brought up during his recent conference with our allies in northern Greenland. The prestige of our country is on the line.
We'll try our best.
Trying is not an option. You must provide him the answer. Failure to do so will mean that the U.S. will lose face with our allies.
Okay, understood. Now, what is the question?
What is the width of a straight line?
This is what they discuss at those conferences? Widths of lines? This is what the taxpayers are paying through their nose? It almost makes me want to be a tax evader, except I don't pay taxes.
We can calculate the width of the line using the virtually unknown and seldom used formula. Of course, the easy way to calculate the width of the line is to take out a measuring device, such as a ruler, and measure it.
But the problem is that by doing that, then the line is no longer treated as a line, but rather as an elongated rectangle. So, my dear colleagues, I need an answer now. The president is waiting to hear from me. If I don't provide him with the answer, he will want an explanation, and I can assure you, it will not be me who will be made the scapegoat. I hope I make myself clear.
No, I remember doing research on a similar problem, but it had to do with the roundness of a circle. We discovered that some circles are more round than others.
That's very interesting, but this is a straight line, not circles.
Look, we all know that a line is a mental construct. Thus, by definition, it lacks width. If we all know how to draw lines, so to me, the solution is clear. By transposing the mental image of the line onto a piece of paper, and then repositioning or reorienting its supraaxial component, properties that are embedded in both ends of all lines, we can arrive at a solution that will provide our dear president with the answer he needs. It's merely a question of applying the principle of common sense.
Well, that makes all the sense in the world to me.
In all my years as a professor of advanced proto-natural philosophy, I never heard of something so profoundly insightful as what you just described in your discourse. I am sure the president will feel the same.
Yet there are those who will not accept the somethingness of the zero. Pathetic. It's that kind of closed-mindedness that is eroding the moral fabric of our nation.
The president is determined to reverse that trend. He is searching for people with new ideas and new ways of configuring all that we now take for granted. For instance, we presume that the earth is round and that water flows downstream and not up. But such thinking is restrictive and excludes other possibilities. It produces intellectual inflexibility that stifles creativity. And that's why we are here, to create new pathways to greater understanding and thereby make the world a better place in which to live, even for our political enemies and all those other stupid and closed-minded people who will do and say anything to suppress and avoid the truth.
Under my command, the Interstellar Research Department will be conducting a series of rocket launches to confirm whether the Earth is still round. Personally, I believe it could lead to a breakthrough in the way that we understand our environment and lead to a fundamental restructuring of our entire intercontinental defense system. It makes no sense whatever to spend millions of dollars on an anti-defense missile system without first confirming the actual shape of the planet.
My command plans a similar series of studies to confirm the existence of the reverse gravitational effect, the force that allows water to naturally flow upstream. It's a continuation of a $15 billion project we launched 5 years ago to study the effects of anti-gravitational quasi-radiation on the internal 18 quadrillion megavolts of the semi-protonic energy, or 1/19 of 1 second on robotic rabbits. The results are astounding.
Now you're talking. This is exactly the kind of thinking the president wants. It will yield practical results that will strengthen our national defense and make the country a better place in which to live.
Now, let's get to work. Where would the world be without us college professors of the world who do all this remarkable and important work? We are truly a gifted profession.
End of scene 4. Scene 5. Time, 1 month later. Place, a television studio. On stage are 2 men and a woman. All 3 are candidates for President of the United States. They are having a debate which is being televised. The woman's name is Joanna Jensen Jones. The first man's name is Harold J. Brunnington. And the other man's name is Ergon Alvarsky. He is the President of the United States. As the scene opens, we join the debate in progress. Mr. President, your administration so far has made our country the laughingstock of the world.
I don't see anyone laughing in the audience, do you?
Sir, please don't make light of this. Since you took office, you've done nothing except insult people, hobnob with dictators, and fight with everybody, including members of your own staff.
You know, Joanna, all of that's a bunch of malarkey. Concocted by a media that will say and write anything to make me look bad. That, the people love me. I'm the greatest president ever to occupy the White House.
Greater than FDR? Greater than Reagan?
Much greater. They didn't have time to clean up the kind of mess I inherited from my corrupt and venal predecessor. When I took office, I found the government so mired in stupidity that it made my head spin.
You've been saying that for almost 4 years now. I think it's time that you take responsibility for the mess you created.
And how you cheated your way into office?
Wait a minute, Pinhead. Are you calling me a cheat? I won the election fair and square.
No, you didn't. Your friends gave you inside information that they stole and sold to you. Why can't you admit it?
Because it's not true, that's why. I've been saying that for the past 4 years. If anyone is a puppet for the special interest, it's you, Mr. Mushin. Everything inside your head is a mush. That's what happens when you serve too long in Congress. The brain cells wither away. It's a fact. I read that in an important medical journal.
There you go again, making up things. You live in a fantasy world.
Listen, Miss Petunia Hendon. If anyone is living in a fantasy world, it's you. Why would anyone want to vote for a woman that's as ugly as you? Have you looked at yourself in the mirror lately?
My looks are not the issue here.
Oh, yes, they are.
Isn't it being a bit superficial?
Are you sticking up for her? What kind of man are you?
Man enough to have served 3 tours of duty combat overseas.
Big deal. I served as president of the Upper Long Island Yacht Club
Oh, yes, I
Association.
forgot. You were made honorary admiral.
That's right. And it was a tough job. I had to make all kinds of decisions. But it all worked out for the best because it prepared me to take on this awesome responsibilities of my current office.
I was chief operating officer of one of the largest international corporations of the world.
That you ran into the ground.
I did no such thing.
Oh, stop lying. The company went belly up while you bailed out with your $100 million parachute for a job well done.
The general should stay with the troops, not abandon them to their fate. After I'm elected president, my first official act will be to sign an executive order promising that I will take full responsibility for all actions taken by my administration.
You wouldn't last a week.
I never bailed out from the company. That's just another lie you fabricated.
No fabrication. The truth. I received thousands of emails, Instagrams, and tweets from the workers you abandoned.
Could you provide me with a copy of those emails?
No, I will not. They are private and personal communications. You've just to take my word on it.
Take your word for it? Are you joking?
Well, I don't joke when it comes to emails. By the way, Harold, which is such a pansy name, I checked into your military record. The closest you ever came to a combat was a shoving match with a female WAC at Fort Poseidon, Idaho. Utah, rather.
You don't know what you were talking about.
For him, that's normal.
That's the problem with both of you. You're both so stupid. You say and do stupid things. Your stupidity revolts me. You are products of a culture that abhors stupidity. In fact, covets stupidity and produces clowns like you. That is why I launched my program, Make America Smart Again. We need smartness. We need new things, to think about things. We need to produce people who are savvy. That's why I was elected. The people were tired of all the stupidity that was destroying the country.
The king of dumb wants to make America smart? That's a laugh.
You sure have a funny way of doing it.
Well, there's a problem with you two jerks. You both have closed minds.
At least I have a mind. I wonder about you, though. Going around telling people that 1 and 1 is 3, and that a circle is really around the square, garbage like that.
Well, my people are involved in serious research that is uncovering startling new facts.
You mean like at Radbourne College, where that biomathematics department, whatever that is making all these so-called new discoveries?
Exactly. And don't forget the work being done at the War University in D.C., where they discovered incredible new properties about the zero.
In other words, about nothing.
No, not about nothing. About something. Yet the media doesn't report it right. They think it's a bunch of hogwash only because I support it.
Oh, right, that the zero is a potential source of energy? Really brilliant stuff. Like the kind of knowledge that will really help the country.
Mr. President, you are not making the country smarter.
You're saying that because you didn't make those discoveries first. The people love what I'm doing.
Not according to the polls.
Well, according to my polling, I'm at 83% approval rate, the highest approval rate in history.
Who validated your polling? Your team at Radbourne University?
Now, don't you start mocking Radbourne. They are at the cutting edge of a whole new understanding of our perceptions of time and space.
You mean when they're smoking a little weed or popping some special pills?
Oh, you're such a jerkhead. You have no imagination. You're part of the old think that's got this country into deep trouble.
Old think? You mean as opposed to new think?
Well, that's right. New think is is the wave of the future, and I'm going to make it happen. And when I'm finished, America will be the smartest nation in the world. The American people will be so smart, nobody will ever smart them again. That's what make America smart again, it's all about. You two represent intellectual stagnation. Well, I represent intellectual rebirth.
Do you really believe that 1 + 1 = 3?
Well, according to the experts, it does. And I have to go with what they say.
But doesn't common sense dictate that 1 + 1 = 2?
But don't try to confuse me with stupid arguments, okay? That's the problem with you people, you're closed-minded.
To me, we need a president who understands that 1 + 1 = 2.
I understand it, so that qualifies me.
You're just saying that now. Just the other day, you proposed sending a basketball to Mars.
That's right, to find out how high it would bounce.
You stole that idea from me. My space agency people studied that exactly same thing 3 years ago. Where you been, Hal?
If I recall correctly, they used a computer model. Anybody can do that. I would use a real ball.
Such a project would cost billions of dollars, not worth it. This irresponsible spending of taxpayers' money is such rubbish, and such rubbish is why the country is going bankrupt.
Rubbish to you. Breakthrough science to me. Joanna, you have all your priorities all wrong. All you're concerned with is money. Well, I have news for you. There's more to government than spending money. There's something called leadership, which I have provided from the very first moment I was in office.
Under your leadership, the public debt has quadrupled.
The stock market is at an all-time high, and now we have more billionaires than any other time in human history. These are immense accomplishments. Yet the biased media gives me no credit.
Oh, they do give you credit. You're screwing things up to the point that the entire economy is facing collapse.
Don't believe those reports. Pure gossip that the media tries to pass off as news. The American people are aware of that. That's why I'm going to win the election.
Not if I can help it.
Well, you can't help it. You're wasting your time and your money opposing me. You're just another one of those pseudo-conservative